Hello, my name is Iron and this is Iron's Tech. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to have a look at this, my old 2012 11-inch MacBook Air, and quickly discuss if I think it's still something that can be used and can be useful in 2023. Alright, so a bit of a history about this computer. I picked up this MacBook Air in, I think it was 2018, as I wanted something cheap and not necessarily new, just to do day-to-day work activities, Google Drive, Pages, Mail, all the kind of basic things. And at that time, it did a good job. It was a little bit slow, but it did everything I wanted to do. I ended up playing some World of Tanks Blitz on it back then as well, and it was doing it okay then. But fast forward to now in 2023, I just want to talk about what I think and if, this is something that should be considered as a worthwhile purchase now. And so I used this from when I bought it up until about, I can't even remember exactly, I think 3 months after the M1 MacBook Air was released, and then I bought an M1 MacBook Air and never looked back. The difference was absolutely astounding, night and day difference. So this kept me going up until 2020. I'm going to start with the overall physical design of the thing. I still think this still looks pretty good in 2023. I mean, it does still have the very, very large bezels, but despite that, I think it looks pretty good. It's small, it's very, very light because this is the 11-inch version. It has plenty of ports. You've got your USB-A over here, you've got another USB-A over this side. You've got your Thunderbolt 2, I believe this is over here, headphone jack, and the best part is we have MagSafe, which is something that recently brought back on the M2 MacBooks. I don't have that on my M1 MacBook Air, and I have to be honest, I do kind of miss having MagSafe. So yeah, overall this is a pretty decently built computer. It's still very solid. It's held up very well. This is a 2012 model, so it's getting on a bit now. We're talking 11 years old, and it still holds up well. It's nicely built, strong, solid. It's got very few nicks and dents. I don't feel like I'm going to break it. I can probably drop this and it would be all right. It's a very solidly built computer. So physically, the physical dimensions of this is still great. It's a really nice, light, tough little laptop to carry around everywhere. In terms of the trackpad, it's great, still really good. It sadly is not one of your Force Touch trackpads. This is an old diving board design. It's a little clicky, clacky, but it does the job. It's glass topped, feels quite nice. You can't really press at the top because of the diving board design, but it does all the things. It has all the multi-touch gestures. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's got nothing on the newer Force Touch trackpads, but it's a pretty good trackpad. Keyboard is one of my favorites. This keyboard is really nice. I really, really enjoy this keyboard. It's plenty of travel. It's not too squishy. It's not too loud. It's just the right amount of clickety-clacketiness. The newer Magic keyboard is, for me, maybe on par with this one. They're both very nice to use. The Butterfly keyboard, I don't like that keyboard at all. This one is much, much better than the Butterfly keyboard. This is an 11-inch MacBook Air, so it does have the smaller function keys up here. They are really tiny little keys, but they have to squish the keyboard into this much, much smaller footprint, so I get that. All right, so on to performance. This is a laptop from 2012. It's getting on a bit now. It has the i5 processor. It only has 4 gigs of RAM, so it's not going to be particularly fast. I'm just going to open up a couple of things just to show you. If I just open up Safari here. So, it's reasonable. It doesn't take too long to load that up. Let's go to YouTube, see how long that takes to load up. And again, there we are, we're in there. I could watch YouTube videos if I open up one here. So we got Luke Miani. Got our advert there.
So let's say you are in the
It
market.
will work.
For
It will
a
go full
used
screen.
one.
You
You
can
got a
watch the
budget
YouTube
of
videos, no problem
300,
there.
500, $1,000.
It will
Well,
go
there
up
is a lot
to, let's
out
turn
there
Luke
to
down a little bit.
choose from.
It will go up to
But if
1080p.
you use a Mac to get the new M2
This
processor, you get a used
doesn't
one.
handle anything above 1080.
I
I tried running a 1440p video on it and it was very jumpy and stuttery, and I really wouldn't recommend it. And to be honest, with this display, anything above 1080p is kind of wasted anyway. So for watching 1080p videos, yeah, it's fine, it does it. We can do that without too much trouble. Let's close that one down there. For things like Google, let's open up a bit of Chrome. That takes significantly longer to open up there. There we go. And let's go to YouTube again just to get a comparison. Okay, so again, we've loaded up there. As you're scrolling down, it takes a little bit of time for the videos to load in, but it's working. It's all right. It's doing it. Okay, let's come out of Chrome there. Let's close these down just to free up all of the RAM, just so we've got a fair demonstration. Okay, I've just noticed, I've just heard the fans. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I've just heard the fans start spinning up here. That's something that, again, if you've used a newer MacBook, you don't really have to deal with that. I've just heard those buzz up, and it's been a long time since I've heard fans. I'm going to go to, let's open up Pages. That's something that a lot of people I think might use on this computer. So again, it is taking a little bit of time there. Okay, there we are. So if I just go into, let's do a new document. Load a blank document up. Okay, we're in there. Yeah, it's working, fine. So again, it does it. It takes a little bit of time. You got to be a little bit patient with it, but it does load up Pages and other programs in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, it's feeling slow for me, as I have come, from an M1 MacBook Air, and even compared to my 12-inch MacBook from 2015. I mean, that thing is slow. That doesn't have a powerful processor, but that is still snappier than this one. I think just because this Air is getting on a bit now, it's really starting to feel chuggy and feel a little bit old. This is running Catalina. It's the latest this will update to without using any patches or anything. It's moving around the UI is okay, like it's working all right. It's reasonably smooth, but it does look and feel outdated now. I mean, even the icons you've got here, like the nail icon, it just feels a little dated now. So just be aware of that as well. Okay, so onto battery life. With this being an old computer, the battery life is honestly pretty abysmal now. I could get a newer one. And when this was new, the battery life was, I'd say I was getting about 5 hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours out of this. Now that's dropped to about 1.5 hours. Like, the battery life really has come down. And last time I checked, I think it was asking for a replacement, but actually it's not showing that right now. The last time I remember using this computer, it was showing it required a battery replacement, but it does run down quickly. It will not hold charge very long at all. So if you do get one, be aware you will likely be looking at either replacing the battery if it hasn't been done recently, or again, you just deal with an hour to an hour and a half battery life, which, I honestly, at the end of running this computer, that is what I did. I was just putting up with it only having an hour battery life. And you do get used to it, but it can be frustrating if you're trying to do a meeting or do something where there's not a power socket next to you. You have to go running trying to find a plug. It's a little inconvenient. And again, something that I've just completely forgotten about using the newer Macs, the M1s. I don't have to really think about being plugged in anymore. It just lasts so long. Okay, so something else about this computer is the display. This display is, to put it mildly, not great. The resolution is 1366 by 768. It's an 11.6 inch panel, and I mean it does the job. It shows you all the things you need to see. The colors are not particularly good, and the lower resolution is definitely noticeable if you've been using anything with a Retina display. I mean, it works. You can use it. You can see all of the things you need to see. It's okay, but again, once you've used a Retina display, coming back to this, you can definitely see the pixels. It's quite small, and because this is the 11-inch model, it has, it's very long on the top and very small on the side. Most modern laptops that I've used, especially MacBooks, have the taller display. There's one on the M1 MacBook Air, so you can actually see a lot more of a document you have up. This one, there's a lot of scrolling around involved in looking at documents, and it's very noticeable once you switch back to this from a screen with the taller resolution, the taller aspect ratio. Okay, so the speakers and the webcam on this are also not great compared to modern computers at all. The webcam is 720p, which I think is the same actually in terms of resolution as newer laptops, but the signal processing in it is substantially worse. Like I remember using this for some online lessons when we had lockdown, and just it was bearable, but it's just, looking at it now, 2023, it really doesn't cut it anymore. And in terms of the speakers, I mean, they're disappointing. They're really tinny, top-endy. They distort when they get pushed above about 3/4 volume. And this MacBook, it was released before Apple really started changing up the speakers and making them good. I think it was around when they started the 2015 12-inch MacBook that they really started putting a lot of effort into the speaker systems in the MacBooks. So this was before that, and honestly, you can tell it's very tinny. It doesn't go very loud. When you put them side by side, it's noticeable. I don't think there's much point in me doing a side-by-side comparison here, as you would hear it through the microphone in my phone, which isn't going to be great, and then whatever you're listening to this on would also affect that. But just the difference is stark. The speakers are not great on this in any way. If you do pick one up, I would suggest using headphones or even external speakers if you can to watch anything. I just don't think the speakers are going to cut it. Okay, so overall, would I suggest picking up one of these older 2012, 2013 possibly MacBook Airs? I mean, I think if you need something just for watching YouTube or just for using maybe Pages or very, very simple things. I mean, it could possibly handle Google Drive, but it would be, again, quite clunky. I'd say maybe yes. If you can get one for like $100, maybe slightly more, yeah, grab one. But just be aware it's not going to be a fast or smooth experience, and you are likely going to bump into battery issues. If you're looking to do anything else, I would suggest not. I mean, other options would be possibly a 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro. Would probably handle a lot more of your day-to-day tasks than this one would. Even a 2015 MacBook Air would be a substantial step up from this. I just think now this has got to the point where it's over 10 years old. It's just, I think, too much now to be something I'd recommend people to use. It's nice to look at. It's a nice old computer. It's small. The footprint's really tiny. It really is quite small. Very light. And I do miss the glowing Apple on the top from the newer models. Don't have that anymore, so that's something I miss. But in terms of using it every day, I think it would honestly be a little frustrating now, just with how old it is as a device, and I would recommend picking up something newer. Okay, so I have been Iron. This is Iron's Tech. Thank you again for listening.